The boy started running the moment he heard the scream. Branches snapped under his shoes and his breath came out in sharp gasps. Somewhere behind him, deep in the forest, something heavy crashed against the trees. He didn't dare look back. "Help! Somebody help!" he shouted, his voice trembling. But the forest swallowed his words. In the quiet town of Raven Creek, people believed nothing dangerous ever happened. It was the kind of place where neighbors waved from their porches and children rode bikes until sunset. Except for Ethan Carter, a 13-year-old boy most people ignored. Ethan lived with his mother in a small, worn-down trailer at the edge of town. His father had left years ago, and money was always tight. At school, kids whispered about his old clothes and patched backpack. A forest boy, they called him. Teachers rarely noticed him. Classmates laughed when he spoke. Even the shop owner sometimes watched him closely, as if expecting trouble. But Ethan had one thing no one else did: courage. Every afternoon after school, he walked through the forest behind Raven Creek. It was his escape from the teasing, the loneliness, and the feeling that he didn't belong anywhere. That day the sky was gray and the wind rustled the tall pine trees. Ethan kicked a stone along the dirt path, lost in thought. Then he saw it. A metal box. It sat half buried beneath fallen leaves near an old oak tree. The box was small but heavy-looking, covered in rust, with a thick padlock hanging from the front. Ethan froze. "Who would leave this here?" he whispered. Curiosity pulled him closer. He brushed away the dirt and leaves, revealing strange scratches carved into the metal. They looked like symbols, old and uneven. A chill ran down his spine. He glanced around. The forest was silent. Slowly, he picked up the box. It was heavier than it looked, and something inside shifted with a dull clunk. Ethan swallowed hard. He knew he should leave it alone. But something inside him, something stubborn and brave, told him this was important, so he carried the box home. That evening, Ethan sat at the small kitchen table while his mother cooked soup on the stove. "Where did you get that?" she asked, eyeing the box. "In the forest," Ethan replied. His mother frowned. "I'll put it back tomorrow. Things left in the woods are usually trouble." But Ethan couldn't stop thinking about it. After dinner, he grabbed an old screwdriver and carefully tapped at the lock. It took several minutes, but finally, click, the lock snapped open. Ethan hesitated. His heart pounded as he slowly lifted the lid. Inside the box were several items wrapped in plastic. A faded photograph, a small notebook, and a flash drive. He picked up the photograph first. It showed a group of workers standing in front of a large building. An old factory on the edge of town that had burned down years ago. Everyone in the photo was smiling, except one man. His face was scratched out. Ethan felt uneasy. Next, he opened the notebook. The pages were filled with handwritten notes, dates, names, and warnings. Words like unsafe conditions, a toxic leak. They covered it up. Ethan's stomach tightened. Then he noticed the final page. Written in bold letters were the words, "If anything happens to me, tell the truth. The town deserves to know." Oh, a loud knock suddenly shook the trailer door. Ethan jumped. His mother looked toward the entrance, confused. "Who could that be this late?" The knocking came again, harder this time. Ethan quickly closed the box. When his mother opened the door, 2 police officers stood outside. "Good evening," one officer said. "We received a report about a suspicious item being taken from the forest." Ethan's heart stopped. How did know? He thought. The officer's eyes shifted to the box on the table. "Son," he said calmly, "we need to take that." The next morning, the entire town buzzed with rumors. People gathered outside the police station, whispering. Some said Ethan had stolen something dangerous. Others claimed he had found evidence of a crime. At school, the teasing started immediately. "Hey, forest boy," one kid sneered, "trying to be a hero now?" Laughter echoed through the hallway. Ethan lowered his head, his cheeks burning with humiliation. Oh! But deep inside, he knew what he had found mattered. That afternoon, the town announced an emergency meeting at the community hall. Everyone showed up. Parents, teachers, business owners, even the mayor. Ethan sat quietly in the back row beside his mother, feeling small and nervous. Then the police chief stepped onto the stage. He cleared his throat and spoke into the microphone. Last night, a young resident of Raven Creek discovered a box containing important evidence related to the factory fire that happened 10 years ago. The room fell silent. The chief continued. The documents revealed that the fire was not an accident. It was caused by a chemical leak that was hidden from the public. Several officials at the time ignored safety warnings. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some people looked shocked, others looked angry. The chief turned toward Ethan. Oh. And this truth came to light because of one brave boy. Every head in the room turned to him. Ethan felt his face grow hot. The mayor stepped forward slowly. For years, the mayor said, this town believed the fire was unavoidable. But thanks to Ethan's courage, we now know the truth, and we can finally hold the responsible parties accountable. A woman in the crowd began clapping, then another. Soon the entire hall filled with applause. The same people who once ignored Ethan were now standing, cheering for him. His mother squeezed his hand, tears shining in her eyes. I'm proud of you, she whispered. A week later, reporters arrived in Raven Creek. They interviewed Ethan outside the town hall, cameras flashing. Oh, were you scared when you found the box? One reporter asked. Ethan nodded. Yeah, he said honestly, but I knew someone needed to tell the truth. The story spread quickly. The town reopened the investigation into the factory disaster. Safety rules were strengthened and the abandoned factory site was turned into a memorial, and Ethan, everything changed. Teachers began encouraging him. Classmates stopped teasing him. Some even asked to sit with him at lunch. One afternoon, the mayor visited Ethan's school. In front of the entire student body, he handed Ethan a certificate. For bravery and honesty, the mayor announced. The auditorium erupted in applause. Ethan stood there, nervous but proud. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel invisible. He felt respected. That evening, Ethan walked back into the forest. The sun dipped low, casting golden light through the trees. Birds chirped softly, and the wind carried the scent of pine. He stopped near the old oak tree where he had found the box. Everything looked the same, but he wasn't the same boy anymore. He had faced fear. He had been mocked. He had stood up for the truth. And because of that, an entire town finally found justice. Ethan took a deep breath, smiled quietly, and whispered to himself, sometimes the smallest person can uncover the biggest secret.